So this video will be more of a progress update for my comic thus far, and I will go over a few things I have done in order to wrap up my pre-production phase in a timely yet efficient manner. And, if you stay till the end, you just might get a glimpse of the final cast for my story. Or maybe I'll toss it somewhere in the middle, just to keep you on your toes. The thing that was most important for me to remember during this process was the purpose of this comic. As creatives, we sometimes get distracted by our imagination and ambition, allowing our desires to overshadow the task at hand. The task in this case being the Webtoons Call to Action contest. Above all else, the contest and its guidelines take priority over anything extra I may be wanting to do with this comic. A common idea that practically all of us had was to use this contest as a chance to make a pilot episode for a series we want to work on down the road. And while that is possible, the most important part of this contest is the action and the fighting. While a normal pilot might include a bit more lore and exposition, this contest only gives us so much space and time to tell a compelling story with an epic and engaging fight scene that the readers can enjoy even without context or promise of another episode. Keeping this in mind made it easier to trim bits and pieces out of the script so I could have more space for what is important for the contest specifically, because I can always go back and change things once the contest is over. Even as I storyboard, I am constantly taking things out that don't really need to be there, and making compromises for things that can be made shorter. It's a lot easier to cut these things out early on rather than later when most of the final work is done. Honestly, if it wasn't for Bern, another artist on YouTube and a much more experienced Webtoons creator, I would have probably shoved as much unnecessary detail into 20 megabytes as possible. But fortunately enough, she released 2 videos going over the guidelines for the contest, shedding a much needed light on some of the vague specifics that a lot of us probably just skimmed over. So if you are taking part in this contest, please go check those videos out. I will attempt to link them below. With all that being said, I have finished designing all of my main characters. My script is as ready as I can have it, and I am in the process of doing many rough storyboards. As I am basically new to Webtoons, I have decided to make a simple template that I could either print out alongside my script or use digitally. For this phase, I have decided to print out the template because I am away from my computer most of the time with work and school. I printed them out on the back of all my script pages so that it's easier to read and draw at the same time. When I write a script for a comic, I usually use the screenwriting format, or at least what I know of it. As I am learning to storyboard, it is easier for me to see visual stories this way, though I wouldn't recommend it to others. As I begin to rough out my panels, I have discovered that though I have a script, I will have many more decisions to make when it comes to the amount of panels, pages, and exactly what's going to go in them. When you write in a more appropriate comic script, even in just the text form, you have a better idea of what the final pages will look like and how many of them you will need. The only thing that actually made my pre-production go by fast was my ability to settle for the bare minimum of what was needed for the story. Closing my mind to the idea of perfection allowed me to settle for what will get the job done. Since I focused on what was needed, I understood that I didn't need extra scenes or smaller details. I also didn't need to tell the whole story. I just needed to isolate the part that mattered and tell it in a way that does the full story justice. Thus far, I am ahead of schedule, but only by a few days. The coming weeks will be especially fun because I get to actually begin to put this thing together and hopefully share a few of my favorite bits and pieces with you all. And speaking of share, here is my final lineup of characters. I have chosen to not do character sheets for any of them because I will most likely be doing the official redesigns after the contest, once I have a better idea of things. It would take too much unnecessary time to do it right now, especially since I already have a general idea of what they will look like and have an understanding of what I will need to draw for them throughout the story. As I draw them throughout the story, it will solidify the things that work with their designs and the things that don't. I did leave one character left concealed though. As I am a storyteller, I didn't want to give everything away. The things I struggled with most when designing these characters was the face, the hair, and the clothes. I'm not used to drawing things with speed of rendering in mind, and it's been a while since I designed a character for a comic. I also wanted to bend my style to be more anime-like, rather than the semi-realism I have been working towards for the last few years. Adapting for this project is not easy, but it will get easy the more I do it. If any of these characters pique your interest, let me know down below. I'd love to talk about the story I have planned, but I also don't want to spoil anything important. So you can see this is a fine line I'm walking. Anyway, as a friend once told me, and I quote, "I hope this video was helpful to at least one of you out there. If not, let us know in the comments what could be done better. And if you know of other ways we can level up our art skills, let us know that as well. Also, while you're down there, I would love it if you would subscribe and hit the bell icon so you can see what I do next. In addition, if you enjoy webtoons and webtoons related content, please check NB Bern's channel to find a load of helpful and motivating content. But until we meet again, I would just like to say, welcome to Edenwick.